Good morning, Your Holiness. It is very nice to meet you virtually today. On behalf of the organizing team, thank you very much for accepting our request for this online youth dialogue. This dialogue is initiated by Mr. Jimba Gekso, coordinator of your Southeast Asia office, and is jointly organized by 13 organizations across Southeast Asia countries. Today, we are Today, we are also very honored to have three distinguished academic guests joining the dialogue today. Our first guest is Mr. Kishore Mahbubani from Singapore. He's a distinguished fellow at Asia Research Institute, formerly the Dean of National University of Singapore, Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy for 14 years, and over 3 decades as a Singapore permanent representative to the United Nations during his time at Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Thank you, Mr. Kishore. Our second guest is Professor Imtiaz Ahmad Saukap Yusof from Malaysia. He's the Deputy Dean of the Student Development and Community Engagement at International Islamic University of Malaysia. He's also the coordinator of Islam and Buddhist program at International Institute of Islamic Thoughts and Civilization. Thank you, Mr. Yusof. And our third guest is Associate Professor Kama Onyat Kamaruzaman from Malaysia. She's an author and lecturer at International Islamic University of Malaysia and the International Institute of Islamic Thoughts and Civilization. She specialized in comparative religion and actively involved in social work and interfaith engagement. Thank you, Professor Kama. Your Holiness, since the outbreak of coronavirus this January, this year, many lives have undergone tremendous changes at work or at home in a very short span of 6 months. The rapid spread of the virus to even the most remote village of the Amazon have created a lot of anxiety and fear. With the global lockdown, strained healthcare system, increased mental health issue, and high unemployment rate, the youth are facing with uncertainty on how the future lies for them. The world has become more complex, more interconnected, and seemingly harder to deal with more than before. And today in our call, we have over 700 youth, mainly from Southeast Asia countries. 13 of the youth today, a mixture of youth, students, and adults will be asking their question to you directly. However, before that, Your Holiness, what would be your advice to the young leaders of the future in this current situation? Thank you, Your Holiness.
Okay. Thank you. Firstly, I appreciate the organizer who created this opportunity. So thank you very much. Then I always, share with other people, and one of my fundamental belief that is entire 7 billion human beings, we are same. From the Buddhist viewpoint, entire sentient being is same. In the sense, all have the desire having happy life, happy family. Even small birds, they also have that same desire. Now we human beings, because of our intelligence, and unfortunately, our intelligence sometimes is combined with our destructive emotion. Other animals also, destructive emotion there, but they have no such intelligence. So you see, there are activities, problem created by their sort of activities, animal limited. But we human being, because of our this wonderful brain, we develop technology, science. Unfortunately, technology, science is used for war, for violence, making weapon, including hydrogen bomb. You see, these are other animal cannot do. We human being, this wonderful brain under control of destructive emotion, then you see these negative things happen. So since I think a lot of problem today we are facing, we humanity or world facing, is essentially our own creation. So now, since a lot of problem, our own creation, therefore, we have the responsibility to tackle this problem, to reduce this problem. Logically, problem which created by a human being, then logically we also have the ability to reduce this problem. So now, basic thing is basic human nature. Now, according to scientists, some scientists, they say basic human nature is more compassionate because we are social animal. Any social animal, there is sense of concern of their own community. So we also is a social animal. So from birth, we have the sense of concern of our community. So now, that's I think the ultimate sort of source of our strength, compassion, altruism. Altruism there, then the enthusiasm, energy automatically come. So now today, important, one of my commitment is 7 billion human being, whether believer or non-believer, we should have a sense of more, altruistic sort of thinking. Because that, you see, part of our nature and the reality also now today's world, too much division. And that, say, causing too much strong sort of sense of we and they. And then including war happen. So now, a sense of oneness of 7 billion human beings, then there's no basis to killing each other. So therefore, my number one commitment is try to promote sense of oneness of 7 billion human beings. Different nationality, different country, different religion, that is secondary. That's more or less private business. Mainly, we are human beings. I think, for example, when we in remote area, when we, you see, some way we just want oneself lonely, remain there, then one human being approach, then first the reaction is, oh, one human being there. You see, no sort of idea what is nationality, what is religion, what is races. No. So long, you see, 2 legs, 2 arms, or human face, we simply feel, oh, there is one human being there, I can seek some help for him. That is nature. So therefore, today, really we need too many problems because we too much, emphasis differences. That's the secondary. Only the remedy to reduce that, we must go deeper way where all 7 billion human beings are same human being. Same way born, same way taking mother's milk, same way die. So while we alive, much better live together with sense of oneness of 7 billion human beings, and then try to promote human compassion, human loving kindness. So that's my number 1 commitment. So I want to share with you. Then number 2 commitment, religious harmony. On this planet, over 1,000 years, I think almost 3,000 years, different religious traditions develop. All carry the message of love, inspired in different philosophy, different concept. All, you see, carry the practice of love and forgiveness, tolerance. So all major religious traditions, different philosophy there. Some say there is creator. Those theistic religion, they believe creator. And then those non-theistic religion, you see, no belief, no idea of creator, ourself, you see, created. And then, as you see, scientists say, evolution. Gradually, we human being, from monkey, from further as a further goes, some, you see, I think originally some jellyfish or something. Then gradually, you see, come to earth,
Land, on land.
or land. Then gradually, you see, we develop like that. So our brain also, you see, 1,000 years, several thousand years, gradually develop with our physical. So therefore, the different philosophical view, but all carry same message of love. So on that basis, religious harmony certainly can develop. India is one example. All world major religious traditions live together in India, like Judaism, Christianity, then Zoroastrian, all these different, religious traditions live together here. We never heard, you see, problem. For example, problem between Shia and Sunni. I never heard. See, this country, in the past history, sometimes some problems, but basically India is the example religious harmony. So India, number two most populated nation, but religious harmony there. So therefore, my number two commitment is try to promote religious harmony and mutual learning and work together. Then third my commitment, I'm Tibetan. Tibetan people trust me. They put a lot of hope on me. So I have moral responsibility. So regarding Tibet, my main concern is preservation of Tibetan language, because Tibetan language is the closest language with Sanskrit. So the ancient Buddhist tradition, Pali tradition, Sanskrit tradition, we Tibetan over 1,000 years, the Sanskrit tradition, we translated number of Sanskrit text and a Pali text. So altogether 300 volumes. We study these texts and meditate. Very useful. So that knowledge, I feel, not only Tibetan, Tibetan knowledge or Tibetan thing, but I can say Tibetan knowledge, which come from Nalanda tradition, is really precious of world. Whether believer or non-believer, in Sanskrit tradition, a lot of sort of explanation about logic, about philosophy. These we can consider academic subject, not religious subject. So therefore, I really feel worthwhile to preserve Tibetan knowledge since 8th century. The Shantarakshita from Nalanda, invited by Tibetan king, and he, great logician, great philosopher. So we Tibetan over 1,000 years follow his advice seriously. So I feel this knowledge really worthwhile preserve. For that, Tibetan language very, very useful. So that's my, and then another thing is Tibetan environment. Tibet, high altitude, and most of the river which cover from Pakistan, India, then of course Bangladesh and these countries, and also the Vietnam, and then China, Yellow River. So the major river which cover whole Asia, the ultimate source from Tibet. Therefore, Tibetan ecology should sort of preserve. Particularly now, global warming, year by year or decade by decade, the global warming now obviously, I myself also experience. When I came to Dharamsala 1960, that winter, a lot of snow. Then each year, snow less. So that's clear sign of global warming. So now global warming really become very serious. So Tibet ecology preserve these sources of these rivers very important. And then my fourth commitment, that is, since this knowledge originally come from India, modern India now should pay more attention this ancient Indian knowledge and secular way, not religious thing, not considered as a religion or Buddhism, but simply, for example, logic. You see, simply sort of also training our mind, sharpening our mind, and nothing to do with next life or heaven. Simply this very life, you see, become more peaceful. So India, ahimsa, non-violence, over 3,000 years, these concepts, and karuna, compassion. That's the Indian tradition. So modern India now should pay more attention to preserve non-violence and compassion, these things. India have the possibility to combine inner value and material value combined. So that's my latest, fourth commitment, like that. So now here you, as a human brothers, sisters, think about my four commitment. If you find some useful, then try to implement and then share with more young people. Today's world, too much materialistic thinking, not much sort of thinking about our inner value. And psychologically, you see, say, I think modern education, modernity only sort of concern sensorial consciousness. Not much thinking about a sixth mind. Sixth mind, you see, without they depend on eye consciousness, ear consciousness, because of the smell consciousness, all these ignore. But sixth mind, the basis of shamatha, single-pointed meditation, and vipassana, analytical meditation. These two are related with sixth mind, not senses of organs. So these, I think, is now in modern time, materialistic life, now pay more about our inner value. Firstly, inner sixth mind, like that. So, now questions and any sort of advice from some professors. Yes. Yes.
Good morning, His Holiness. My name is from Thailand. I am 24 years old and currently a marketing strategist. And my questions today is, when it comes to compassion, why is it easier to be compassionate to others rather than to ourselves? Thank you.
As some scientists say, you see, we are social animal. Even when we born, the mother provide us sort of immense compassion, nothing to do with religion. The children also, you see, without that, we can't survive. So that's the way start our life. So the loving kindness from other is till our death very important. Dying person, that person may have a lot of gold, diamond, sort of diamond or things. Say that dying person, no sort of get inspiration. Inspiration. The dying person is surrounded with human being, with showing genuine sense of concern. Then the dying person feel happy. So our life begin with human compassion. At the end of our life, surrounded with compassionate person, the dying person much happier. So that we should know. And then those billionaire or the leaders, without compassion, without inner peace, they actually may not be happy person, always anxiety, always sort of scare or suspicion, like that. So therefore, the compassion is very, very important. Should not consider compassion is some religious matter. No. It's for human beings' survival, like that. Okay. Next.
Your Holiness, the next question is from Hong Kong young adults.
Hong Kong. Yes.
Good morning, His Holiness. My name is Wee, and I'm from Hong Kong. I'm currently a movie maker, and I'm 29 years old. And my question today is mental bullying on internet makes young people self-harm or attempt suicide. So how should the youth handle their emotion and face all this negativity that impacts them? Thank you.
Karsa.
Rashida. Tingsan Tagetone ya michi sumbuso ya ta dinde. Wangyo she ta dinde. Tagetone lang mi shimba da dewa che ne wangyo she ta dinde yongdu an rangso che ya so dinde kanye tek do di.
I believe our intelligence actually entirely belongs to ourselves. So we can look different ideas, different sort of ideology, or even different religion, but the ultimate sort of decision up to ourselves. So Buddha, now for example, Buddha himself, you see, told us, "Oh, my follower should not accept my teaching out of faith, but rather thorough investigation. Through that way, if you find some useful, then you accept, then you follow." So therefore, the individual intelligence, great role. So we should not sort of follow some kind of just faith or investigation. That is very important. My own case, I'm Buddhist. From childhood, I study this Nalanda tradition, logical approach. So even Buddha's own word, we always raise question, why Buddha say that? Then investigate. So therefore, that very useful, not just faith, not believe, but investigation, like that. So you, a young person, utilize your intelligence, unbiased, neutral, and then more investigation. And then every sort of your work, your life, you see through investigation, analyze, then you find now this way is the best, and you also you see, can seek some of your trusted friends' views. Then follow that. Then even there's some problems facing, so no regret. I try investigate and seek some advice. So that's the right way or right path. My own case, now 85 years old. About, I think, 13, 14, I lost my freedom. Then, my age, around 20, I become a refugee. I lost my own country. And then, since 59, it's an inside situation, a lot of sort of problem, a lot of suffering. But as I sort of mentioned already, so when difficult situation happen, analyze, I decide this decision out of thorough investigation. Now this is best. So even some problems, consequences some happen, no regret. Okay. Then basically, now we, Tibet, India, historically very close link. So now India, the democratic country. So now last 60 years, I become, I enjoy the India's freedom. Okay.
Your Holiness, the next question is from a student from Malaysia.
Yes.
Good morning, His Holiness. My name is Jajen, and I'm from Malaysia. I'm 20 years old this year. Here is my question.
Yes. Oh.
I was retrenched from work under current recession. Is it due to my bad karma? How can I overcome this? Does religion help? Thank you.
Karsa, karma. Ka. You are young. So I think long future. So you should not remain with feeling of hopelessness. Don't think that way. For temporary, some problem, but always possible to overcome that. So self-confidence, enthusiasm, positive attitude, very important. If you just, due to certain difficulties, you lost your hope and discouraged, that's wrong. I think many past, great people, including religious leader, through difficult experiences and then determined and carry their effort tirelessly, and then win. So you, young brother, you should not think, you should discourage. Now I lost my job or something. Don't think that way. Okay. Now next.
Your Holiness, the next question is a young lady from Singapore.
Good morning, Your Holiness. I'm Saint, a 20-year-old currently studying in Singapore. And my question is, with the millennials becoming less religious, do you think that religion will still have a huge impact 20 years down the road? Thank you.
lo nishu sumju paru na tensan ta shönge lo nishu ne sumju paru ji yorol manche chöl shita teba megen de chade de tando yin lo nishu sumju jongju lo sumju.
As I mentioned before, so whether accept religion or not, we have experience when you say, for example, shopping, visit, see people showing more smile, you feel happy, isn't it? When you met someone very serious sort of face, you unhappy, isn't it? So whether accept religion, religious belief or not, the essence of religion is warm-heartedness. So there's even animal, some dogs, if you show them a little smile, and then genuine sort of warm feeling to show, then dogs, their tail go like that. If your face, more angry face, and even dogs, you say don't like that. Isn't it? So therefore, so long we are human being, so long we have to live with human society, warm-heartedness. Through warm-heartedness and calm mind, even today's your enemy, after some time may become best friend. So ultimately, everything depends on yourself. Warm-heartedness. I believe that. Okay. So the younger generation, the modern education, not much sort of paying attention about our inner value. That is a problem. So the existing modern education, very much oriented about material value. That's the mistake. The materialistic education should combine with inner value, not religion, but inner value. That's very important. And knowledge about our mind, about our emotion. As an academic subject, we should include in education field. Okay, so younger generation, now you have the opportunity, eventually, you see, some change in existing modern education where not sort of adequate, you young people, you see, should think more. Okay. Okay, now next.
Your Holiness, the next question is from Vietnam, a student.
Good morning,
Yes.
Your Holiness. My name is Ling. I'm a 20-year-old student, and I am one of Tham Thong Rinpoche students. My question for you today is, It's a reality that we will die one day, and this can create fear within us. How can we overcome this fear as well as help others to overcome the same fear? Thank you.
Karsa.
The Chia Yimbati never was any Chia, Chua Yung never seen it that you did in Shenama, which Giger was. It's a Susuta, Michelle, the Shenam, the Magia, the Tapshit of the condition. Chua donation.
I think Buddha also passed away. And last, I think, 2,000 years,
2,500.
2,500 years. So many great scholars, great saints, all gone. So that's quite nature. So we also eventually have to die. So while we are alive, our life should be meaningful. That brings inner happiness, satisfaction. Okay. So even you see next week, supposed to see dying, and next week, still few days here, you try to share, you see, more deeper human value with your friend. Then at the time of dying, no regret. Okay. Yes.
Thank you, Your Holiness. The next question is from Indonesia.
Good morning, Your Highness. My name is Stephanie Surya from Indonesia. I'm 35 years old.
Indonesia, huh? Yes.
Currently, I'm working at an e-commerce company. My question is, if we cannot find happiness externally, we will try to explore it internally. With this current challenging situation, we have more opportunity to look internally. How can we make it as our new default, as our new normal? Thank you.
Right. Now, as already I indicated, the existing modern education, not much talk about our mind, about our inner peace. People sometimes feel when we talk about inner value, then depend on religion. As I mentioned earlier, you see, inner value without touching religious faith, that we can do. So now modern education, purely education, nothing to do with religion. But education should include education about material thing or science and technology, and meantime education about our emotion, about our mind. That's lacking now, today's existing education. Education, you see, should include knowledge about material thing, including our physical thing, and should include our mind, our emotion. Then with that, like our physical, facing some illness, you see, we take the method to cure that according to the illness. Similarly, mental problem, when develop, so is how to tackle our mental problem. As a part of education, that I think modern education, I feel lacking that. So I think from West, modern education started. Then at that time, about emotion, inner value is concerned, they totally rely on religion, church, religion. now religion, including Buddhism, you see people not necessarily, you see, faithful. So therefore, without touching religion, we should analyze, we should develop education about our mind, about our emotion. Okay. And we Asia, see, the tradition, some meditation there. So like most of the Asian country, you see some also knowledge about meditation, analytical meditation, and single-pointed meditation. For that, you see, you spend a few moments, you see, don't think about seeing or hearing these things. Just simply try to some kind of meditate on pure mind. You know, usually we simply, you see, following sensorial consciousness. Now sensorial consciousness neutralize. You just think. Some kind of thoughtlessness. Then gradually you gain some experience about mind. Clear. Then with that, the deeper level of, also the there's a power to analyze things. That, then analytical meditation. So firstly, single-pointed mind, some kind of thoughtlessness. That sort of immense help to increase our mental strength. Then analyze. So the modern education, just material, so sensorial, 5 sensorial sort of consciousness, dealing with that, not 6th mind. Okay. So please, young people, now think more. And now here, quantum physics also is not, how should they accept what appearances. Then think sort of deeper way. So quantum physicists, they, according to that, you see, they say there is differences, appearances, and the deeper reality. So senses of organs, mainly you see appearances. The 6th mind go deeper level, the more detailed, deeper reality. So one my Indian friend told me, expressed to me, quantum physics in the West, something new. In this country, in East, quantum physics over 1,000 years already developed. That's very true. So most of the emotion come on appearances. So you go deeper level, the reality. The appearances is something good, something bad. That is the basis of our emotion. So you go deeper level, then you see everything particle. Now, for example, the material thing, everything particle, nothing sort of solid. Then the very basis of anger, very basis of attachment, no longer there. One Buddhist concept, shunyata. We usually use Sanskrit word shunyata, emptiness. Also, you see, things does not exist as appears. At the deeper level, you see nothing as appears. So this, if you have some interest and then think, study about quantum physics, I think very useful. Modern psychologists and quantum physics combined, useful. Okay. Thank you.
Singapore, a young lady working in the interfaith organization.
Oh, yes.
Good morning, Your Holiness. My name is Nazat Fahima. I'm a working adult and I also volunteer with the Hash Peace movement. My question is, despite the various efforts to promote religious harmony, religious extremism and exclusivism continues to grow in many parts of the world. How can young people like us do something to help with this issue? Thank you.
출루 튼지기 돌아간 전 랭귀 가져 빼나야 출루 튼지기 랭귀 가져 빼게 망부 여러분 빼나야 다도 즉 따와 착부심진 extremism 다 디조페티 시우지 계도도 스타디 답시 가려 그랬어.
As I already mentioned, the existing children from their young age, see, they are not sort of no opportunity to study about basic mind and pure these things. So now, as I mentioned, existing education system very much sort of oriented about material value, and then there, you see, they very much lacking deeper understanding about basic mind or nature of mind or nature of human being. So now religion and superficial, then sometimes the faith also become disposal of also the basis of we and they, lacking thinking oneness, same human being, but too much emphasis on secondary level of differences, different race, different color, different country, different religion, and within religion, Buddhist, you see, the Pali tradition, Sanskrit tradition, and sometimes Tantric tradition. In Tibet case, you see yellow-head sect, red-head sect, black-head sect. You see, sometimes you see we found too much sort of division, and then your sort of feeling of I have the places, my religion, my community. So these are narrow-minded, narrow thinking. So Muslim, Shia and Sunni, as I briefly mentioned, you see, Shia, Sunni, and then within that, different country, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and these different Muslim country. And unfortunately, in ancient time also, religion very much used by king or queen. So Muhammad also you see carry one sword. So now modern time, or ancient time, you see political power and religious faith sometimes go together. So feudal system, you see, utilize religious faith. Now that gone. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we must, you see, emphasis oneness of humanity. That this religion is personal matter, secondary thing. So you should think that way. As a Muslim, I have, you see, many good friends, Muslim, in Lhasa, some Muslim, Ladakhi Muslim, very peaceful, no record of quarrel. And you see Tibetan, particularly Tibetan monk, fond visit Mongolian, Islam, Muslim sort of shops, and they also talk very nice, very peaceful, like that. So record those Muslim in Lhasa very, very peaceful. So that's basic nature. And then also, I have some experience, some Muslim, in Ladakhi Muslim, very peaceful, wonderful. I really fond the Muslim food. Some sort of Ladakhi delegation, you see, came to see me and invite me. Then sometimes I told them, I must come, I will come. And then including the Muslim lunch should be there. So very nice. See, depend your own attitude, Muslim, Hindu, Christian, or Sikhism, all. You see, the individual matter, individual sort of practice. Actually, we are same human brothers, sisters, and we have to live side by side. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Holiness.
So the
next question.
Now I think the personal level contact very important. Like Ladakhi Muslim, you see, they always, you see, quite acquainted the Buddhist community or some Christian community. So then those Muslim country like Syria in these little bit isolated, not sort of also the opportunity to meeting with different follower of different religion. That makes sort of differences. So, also the international level, I think more contact. So I, since I have some friend in Ladakh Muslim, so I suggested to them, you should organize one international Muslim conference in Delhi, because of the national level. So I also made some donation. So they organized that. And some Iranian religious people also used to come. So now I'm thinking that kind of meeting annually, firstly, international level Muslim, then other follower, join together. So we need regular effort. It's some kind of religious, because of international religious sort of conference. That's important. Okay.
Thank you, Your Holiness. The next question will be from Indonesia.
Good morning, His Holiness. My name is Danish. I'm from Indonesia. I'm 26 and I'm a doctor. So my question is, can His Holiness explain to us the difference between loving oneself and being selfish? Thank you.
Korsa.
근데 수술을 제부치었다. 양치 랑도 제부세죠. 딩이 바로 이렇게 랑시 제죠. 랑시 제다. 수술 제부치었니 바로 이렇게 봐요.
Now, if you think wider way, then everybody, you see, loves oneself and some kind of selfish, always there. If you really want your individual, happy individual, and since we are social animal, one individual's life or successful life entirely depend on the community. So the best way to take care of oneself is to take the very basis of our life. Okay. If you just think oneself, selfish way, narrow-minded, then you can't survive. The survival, or including particularly happy life, entirely depend on others. So we should take care of others. Others is very basis of our individual happiness or successful life. So therefore, now when we take care, now farmer take care about farmland, or because their life depend on farm, so take care, not some kind of compassion, but because you see, farmland is the farmers sort of because of the sources of their life, like that. Okay. What do you think? Do you have some argument? You know, Tibetan sort of tradition, study, we, as the subject of logic subject, we always, you see, debate. So I also, you see, from childhood, you see, get used debate. If others say something, then you should argue. Like that. Okay. Next.
Thank you, Your Holiness. We have now a working youth from Singapore.
Yes.
Good morning, Your Holiness. I'm Leonard. I'm 23 from Singapore. I'm a student and a volunteer with HPs. My question to Your Holiness is, what is the benefit of learning Buddhism if we are not Buddhist? Thank you.
As I mentioned earlier, about the psychology, about the logic. The logic is very helpful to analyze things. In order to know the deeper level, analyzation, analytical meditation, very important. So these now, and over I think 1,000 years, the Nalanda tradition, you see, actually very, very academic sort of institution. So therefore, in Buddhist tradition, according to Nalanda tradition, we extensively use logical approach. At the meantime, psychology. Now, these things, I think, are Muslim brothers or Christian brothers, sisters, they say, I think worthwhile to learn. Faith is your own personal matter. So you can keep your own personal faith. But intellectual level, you see, these Buddhists, although ancient time, many Hindus, great scholars, a lot of debate between Buddhist scholars, Hindu scholars. But then gradually, the Buddhist Nalanda, now here in India, the Buddhism also, you see, almost disappeared. Nalanda now ruined, nothing. So we kept. And then China also is a follower of Nalanda tradition. So the differences, the Chinese case, you see, not much sort of emphasis, study. Whereas with Tibetan and Mongolian, over 1,000 years, we very much emphasis study and use logic. So you can learn these, also a certain sort of method which increase our sharpness of our mind, and philosophy, all phenomena, not just to see God's creation, but more detailed, like that. So, beside your own faith, or atheist, no faith, but you can study, it's a logical approach and philosophical things. Like that. Okay. Yes? Now, next.
Your Holiness, the next question is from Malaysia, the youngest students in now, one of the youngest students.
Malaysia?
No.
Okay.
Good morning, His Holiness. My name is Gigi. I'm from Malaysia. I'm 19 years old and currently a university student. My question is, technology and society are changing faster and we are forced to move forward quickly. What do young people need to learn today for better tomorrow? Thank you.
Karsa?
팅상 기타 추리자다. 추리 된소 돈에 대체 추리 된소 yarge shiwish to orwal. 추지 된소. 단 인터넷 나
추지.
된소 yarge shiwish to this 수수에 되는 신 격부를 집에 미지나 수수에 간 내가 격부를 치고야 다 shiwish 살아를 주셔야 되냐 더 차고도. 안데 인데 대체 쉬운게 속에 지금 단대 거소래 마음에 된다. 대체 상무단에 근데를 쉬고 있는 사실.
As we already discussed, you see, we have this emotion, this mind. So this emotion and mind are not produced by mission, but by nature. Our brain, you see, develop different emotions, different intelligence, all these things. So therefore, now, as I already mentioned, our education should include education about our inner world. External world, yes, quite detailed now. The sort of scientifically, you see, the explanation. Now, about our mind, you see, we usually, you see, not much sort of pay attention, and in education field, not include. So as I already mentioned, now, education should include about our inner world, about our mind. Now some of my friend, the brain specialist, you see, I think in the past till late 20th century, they no idea about mind, only brain. Now later part of 20th century, now begin to feel beside brain, there is something which actually affect our brain. Now some special a specialist about brain. Now like Richard Davidson, very great scholar about brain. So now they last, you see, in the later part of 20th century and beginning of 21st century, you see now those scientists, brain specialists, you see they already, you see, some experiment. You see people who, you see, have some deeper experience about meditation. Then while they meditate, what kind of change in their brain? Now they, some of them, already accepted beside brain, there is something which affects our brain. That we call mind. So now, in science and field of science, now people more and more pay attention about mind. So when we talk about mind, that subject quite big. And some knowledge about mind is really transform the person. Okay. Animal cannot. Only human brain. Okay.
Dr. Avita.
Good morning, His Holiness. I'm Avita. I represent Malaysia. I'm a doctor and a teacher and a seeker. So my question for you today is, what should be the true intention to achieve enlightenment? Does it change with era and the time? Thank you.
전주 고방 상계 고방도 토비알라 제 꿀론도 간데시 고레스 대지 뒤를 뒤에 양지 제부 대배 여러 베스티 군노디.
Now firstly, as I already mentioned, you see, we must utilize the sixth mind's ability. So for that, what to call meditation or thoughtlessness, that help to increase ability of our mind, sixth mind. Then the clear and very powerful, you see, that sixth mind now focusing certain object to analyze. So from the Buddhist viewpoint, all destructive emotion, such as anger, fear, attachment, all these based on ignorance. As I mentioned earlier, about quantum physics on the basis of appearances. So the sixth mind, use sixth mind, the deeper level of reality. Then the very basis of emotion no longer active. Okay. So now first, some sort of, I think including in school or college, I think students should spend a few minutes meditation, some kind of thoughtlessness. Usually it's thoughtlessness, sensorial sort of consciousness. Then sensorial consciousness is stop. Then sixth mind become more active. then the sixth mind, the ability, sixth mind increasing. Then that use the analytical meditation, analyze. We call shamatha is stand still, single-pointed meditation. Then vipassana, analytical meditation. So, analytical meditation, very, very helpful. I also my daily practice is analytical meditation. As quantum physicists say, what's the reality? Then all those emotions, you see, which based on ignorance, no longer sort of foundation. All the positive emotion are not based on ignorance, rather based on reason. So that further develop. Those emotions based on ignorance no further sort of develop. Because ignorance is no basis to analyze, then ignorance because of the become thinner like that. So one also the encouraging thing is all destructive emotion based on ignorance. As the quantum physics say, based on appearances. Then positive emotions such as compassion and wisdom, not based on appearances, but analyze deeper level. So think more and more, also the strength come increasing. So that much I can, through my own little experience, I can tell you like that. Now, as a Buddhist monk, and particularly Nalanda tradition, follower of Nalanda tradition, and particularly Nagarjuna. Nagarjuna, you may have heard? Nagarjuna, or in Chinese, usually say Longsu Pusa. Great scholar, great practitioner. Traditionally, we all follow of Longsu Pusa, Nagarjuna. It's his theory, Madhyamika Mulakarika, one text. Every day I read some portion and think. Very, very helpful, very helpful. All destructive emotion, you see, based on ignorance. The ignorance, say, the antidote of ignorance is understanding deeper level, the reality. So very helpful, very useful. You originally India?
Yes.
India?
Yes.
Very good. Next.
Your Holiness, the next question is from Vietnam, a student.
Yes.
Good morning, His Holiness. My name is Rose from Vietnam. I'm 21 years old and I am an interior design student. My question is, how can someone who is still studying be practicing Dharma at the same time? Thank you.
Karsa. I start my practice age 7, 8 years old. I already started practice. So meantime, I study. So 7, 8 years. Since 7, 8 years old, I start study. our Nalanda tradition study, the root text memorize. Then each word according commentary explaining. Then use debate, logical approach. So when we carry debate, we are expecting some mistake from other side. Then you feel very happy to argue. If answer from the other side, everything right, then no opportunity to debate. So according to my own experience, you see, study and practice certainly can go together. Now, 85, 86-year-old me, still study. I study. Whenever I have some opportunity, read some books which I already sort of study, or some new books, study. So there is the wisdom. You see, one level, hearing. One level, thinking. That more powerful. The knowledge just from hearing or reading is just a knowledge. Then on that, that subject further investigate by yourself. Then second level of knowledge, understanding. That quite firm. The first level of knowledge, if some other person say something different, then you may feel, then you get doubt. When you reach the second level, you yourself analyze, then deeper understanding, then some other person say something different, then you feel, I already analyzed thoroughly. So that knowledge, you see, entirely based on reason. So that knowledge is the basis of experience. Then further familiarize that knowledge, then gradually gain experience. Now, for me, like the philosophical view about nothing independently exists, that now over 50 years, I think. So that really transformed my mind. And then altruism, it's a few decades thinking, really transformed my mind. Meantime, study. Okay. Recently, I was one occasion I visit Japan, and then in monastery, in temple, Japan, one sort of meeting, and I told them, I told that gathering, I hope, you see, this temple should use for debate, for discussion, not just, you see, meditation. I mentioned. So study, very, very important. Here I may share with you one sort of, private sort of conversation. I have a lot of sort of friends, Japanese Buddhist monk, Buddhist scholar. So one Buddhist abbot also is a good scholar. We often discuss. See, and then one day he told me, we Japanese Buddhists always recite Hangya Shingyu, the Paramita Sutra. Heart Paramita Sutra. But then he quite sort of, because of humble, he mentioned every Japanese Buddhist recite that, but without knowing the meaning. He appreciates, you see, my a little explanation about these things. He expressed to me. He very much appreciates. So study very important. Particularly Nalanda tradition is maximum utilize our intelligence. Think. Not just faith. Okay.
Thank you, Holiness.
So,
we have last three questions.
So you should think, you see, me, old person, as I mentioned earlier, still study. So these young people must pay more attention, study. Okay.
We have three more questions. And the next question will be from Professor Imtiaz Yusof from Malaysia University.
Yes.
Namaste, Your Holiness. I have to inform you that I teach a course on human dignity and freedom. Your book, your autobiography, Freedom in Exile, as a reading for my students. And it is very, very beneficial. Well, my question is this. Here in Southeast Asia, in Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Myanmar, Islam and Buddhism are the two main religions. But there is very little understanding between the people about the true teachings of each other's religions. How can we develop better and deeper understanding between Muslims and Buddhists in Southeast Asia so that we can have a better understanding for peace and coexistence? Thank you.
Karsa, chulu
Southeast Asia nalo chulu che ni yoris. Southeast Asia nalo chulu chimbu ni yoris. Nangju da kaji kurani pazu ani tunde yaga yoa da zo penzu che tu kari che yoris.
As I already mentioned, like Ladakhis, the majority of the Ladakhi people, Buddhist. At the same time, some Muslims also there. So as I mentioned earlier, you see the Indian Muslim should take more active role to promote a dialogue or discussion with Buddhists and Muslim, as I already mentioned. So I'm looking forward. In India, I think international level, religious conference from time to time, I think should take place. Not just some function, not that way. Serious discussion, very useful. Okay. And if question whether there is God creator or not, that's beyond our knowledge. And impossible to study about God's mind. But we only concern about mind of human being. So I really seriously thinking more sort of conference in India. I think really worthwhile, relevant. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Your Holiness. The next question will be from Mr. Kishore Babubani from Singapore.
Sound.
In the beginning. Your Holiness, you spoke of technology and compassion in the beginning of your remarks. Today, humanity has the technology and the resources to bring global poverty to zero. We also have compassion. Yet, despite this, we cannot get rid of global poverty. Why are we failing in this noble endeavor? Thank you, Your Holiness.
There's poor people on this planet, rich and poor, huge gap. Now this also is a source of problem. International level also you see, like African and some other country, very poor. And northern world is economically much better. So within one country, now India, there are millionaires, but many poor people there. So we really need a sense of sort of concern for we are same human being. See, those richer people, you see, should help more the young people, the poor people. And then the poor people, you see, should provide some facility, some technology, making themselves, you see, self-support. So this gap, rich and poor, this is quite serious matter. And so now, for example, this very moment in America, this is a problem. Actually, I think the gap rich and poor. They originally come from Africa for slave. These African, you see, they economically poor. As a result, you see, in the society where materialistic society, poor people always look down. This is also a problem. We have to think how to reduce this gap, rich and poor. And in this respect, the socialist thinking, capitalist, just individualistic. The socialist thinking about majority. But then sometimes, now China also is a socialist country, but huge gap, rich and poor. So I think genuine, you see, socialist system is very important. Like that. So in any way, in order to reduce this gap, rich and poor, the richer side should pay more attention. Okay.
Thank you, Your Holiness. Our last question is coming from Malaysia. This is the last question for today's dialogue.
Morning, Your Holiness. My name is Cindy. I am 32 years old and I am currently working in the mental health field in Malaysia. The question I have is, how can youth play a role in bringing happiness to the world?
가서. 가. I already mentioned our education, existing education, is really something lacking. education about our inner world, how to develop inner peace. These are the key thing. And right from the beginning, the student always think about material thing. And modern science, technology also uses serving material thing. So now, I already mentioned some great scientists already, you see, mentioning importance of our mind. So now I think within, I think next few years, I think more and more people, I think really, especially in the field of education, I think more and more people paying more attention about our inner value and study or knowledge about our emotion, how to tackle our emotion. That I think should develop. Okay.
Thank you, Your Holiness, very much for the enriching dialogue. I believe all the youth have benefited greatly from your views and advice. And on behalf of the organizing team, we thank you again. And we would like to request for another youth dialogue in the near future if your schedule allows. Thank you again, Your Holiness, and wish you stay healthy and well.
Oh, yes? Okay. Actually, as a Buddhist practitioner, I dedicated my body, speech, mind, well-being for other. So I already sort of ready. And now, particularly now, with modern technology, I comfortably remain here and talk, share with more. So I always ready talk, share some of my experience. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Holiness. Dear participants, you may now unmute your mic to greet and thank you, Your Holiness, as he's leaving.
Thank you. Karsa.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. See you again. Okay. See you again.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.